All right, so that was a fun draft. We've got one more cube, believe it or not. This one will probably have to be a little bit more efficient in our conversations, but and hopefully,
Hey, we've only been live for 2 hours.
yeah, yeah, some of that was jazz at the beginning, but um, and hopefully Dan's still around. We're gonna take a quick five. If anyone needs a drink refill or a bladder empty, now's your time to do that. If you want to go get your Sarah Angel from wherever you keep it, if you're not as prepared as Derek was with it right by the desk, there it is. Bam. All right, so we will be
Try to get
back. There
suspended here
you go.
for
Zoom it in.
everybody
Yep.
in the chat. Uh, but I can't. But maybe I'll figure that out if we do when we do this again.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go get a
Yep.
drink.
So we will
I'll be
be
back.
right back. All right. We've done our things. Andrew, Dan, thank you both so much. I really wish people would stop doing that whenever I'm on the BRB screen, because that always happens. I'm like, we'll be right back. And then everyone's like, oh, let me sub right now. And I can't say thank you. So, but I genuinely appreciate it. Thank you, you and everyone else, for all of your support. Ambrose, perfect timing. Thank you. That's our next cube. Oh, and good. And the designer of this cube is in the chat this time, so that's very exciting. So brief story on this one. Part of the yeah, for real, right? One of the many reasons I'm excited to go over this cube is this was one of the really cool like little cube stories. So I travel not a ton for work, but usually once a year, maybe twice. And one of the times I was traveling, I went into a couple of the Discords I was in, like Cube Cobra and Sully Singleton stuff, and was just kind of poking around saying, hey, this is the year I'm going to be in. Is there anyone who wants to get together and play some Cube? Because I always make a point when I travel, for any reason, unless it's literally impossible, I find an LGS to visit, and I just pick up a couple things, because it's so important, and I don't talk about it a lot, but like it's crazy important, as you were saying earlier, to support those small businesses, and to support those play spaces that a lot of them are provided for free, right? It's just a store that has a play space in it. So I'm very passionate about that. So I actually, Rofeletan's in the chat. We actually met up, he and I and one other person, and we played some Cube, and it was fucking awesome. Like, just going somewhere and meeting someone and playing some Cube and having that, bring people together is like one of the great joys of Cube. So when I saw his Cube in the submissions, I was like, it'll be exciting to do that, and it's a little reunited.
Nice.
So yeah,
love it.
Met people from the internet, kept both your kidneys. That's true. Yep. No,
cool.
It worked out. It worked out.
We
were on his home turf. I'm the one who should have been scared. I took like a 20-minute Uber to find this game store. It was like, I hope these guys are cool, and they were, so that worked out.
When I was working in Miami about 4 years ago for work, I took a 40-minute Uber to a LGS to do a pre-release for Eldritch Moon.
Okay.
Didn't know anybody there. Just found a place that was reputable, and yeah, I will travel for Magic. Yes.
Hell yeah. Especially when you get to see a cool LGS. I can't recall the name of the place that we met up, but it was actually like a really nice, like super nice store. They had a great space with like awesome play space, like lots of room, good stock. I got like somewhere around here. I picked up a couple like stickers and game pads from them, life total pads and stuff, because
cool.
Again, like some keepsakes, because they were branded. So yeah. All right. But on to the Cube, and again, Rof, please throw in answer any questions, throw in any information that you want to in the chat. This is you are guest number 2 here. So this is the Party Cube, which is not necessarily that kind of party. So interestingly, and I have a lot of feelings on the party mechanic, but this cube is inspired by the party mechanic that came out with Zendikar Rising. The designer felt that it was interesting, and not likely to make his main cube, which I think most of us probably agree on. That we're unlikely to play anything party related in the cube as it stands. Hopefully there'll be some more support for it coming down the road. But so the idea here was, okay, well, what's the environment where party can be a fun and or effective thing to do? And I think that's a very valuable question. And side note real quick, one of my favorite things about Cube is you can look at either a card or a mechanic or a concept, and say, this doesn't fit in my cube, or this doesn't fit in like traditional vintage or legacy cube or whatever. But what is a cube where this can be fun, or what is a cube where we can play this? And you theoretically do that with anything. You could maybe one of these streams will design the environment where Sarah Angel is pick oneable. Um, apparently that's a thing. Um, Andrew,
Andrew,
I hope he's fucking with us.
Andrew, what are you drinking right now, bro? Tell me what's on the party menu tonight. Andrew and I know each other in person. We've cubed together several times.
That doesn't surprise me. Andrew is also guest emeritus on this stream, so you're slumming it together in that way as well.
Cool, love it.
Seltzer.
Boo.
Hot stuff. Hot stuff. All right, so the design of this cube. Here's the restrictions. This is going to be important here. The only creature types allowed are wizards, warriors, rogues, and clerics. So the idea is that absolutely every single creature in here should lend itself to the party mechanic, which I think is actually a good place to start with this concept. We've minimized references to other classes, which again I think is fair. Nothing that triggers off of goblins is going to make sense in here. Include many, if not all, party mechanics as possible. Follow the class alignments of ZNR. There's an article below, which I can dig up the link in a moment or copy the link.
Yep.
He's included changelings as extra glue, which one or two streams, I think it was when Gwen was on here, we talked about changelings as a way to make tribal a little bit less sticky. Yep. And then we're shooting slightly higher than retail limited power level. So I also think that's a really important thing to be clear about is we're not... Oh, and look, he mentioned cage breakers right on the front page here.
Hey, the cage breakers.
As an exception. So there are a few exceptions, which I'll let people read about because they've got the links if they need it. And also real quick, I know Gwen would say it if he was here, but absolutely beautiful use of the Cube Cobra Markdown for this write-up. But you know what? I mean, especially when we're reviewing a cube on stream, I really appreciate when there's this nice, clear, well put together, easy to read write-up that lets us get a sense of what we're in for, versus this is a new cube.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I see pathways, so already I think that we're on the right track. Actually, I forgot to check. Okay, so this is a 450. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you have something you want to start off with, go ahead. If not, I wanted to check real quick.
So, I think there was also an obvious reason why you picked this one out for me, because I was also toying with the same idea to have party as a mechanic in a cube.
Right.
I think I mentioned it to you when we first started talking.
Yeah.
And so the design space or the entertainment of the design space was something I was familiar with. So I did have like a quick glance of this, and again, this is similarly so, right? This is very, very obviously a creature-based cube and a combat-oriented cube.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Same as the last one, that you want to play to the board. You want to build out board states. You want to generate value on the board.
Yep.
Over anything.
Yep.
And the design restriction means that they've really scraped the barrel for everything that they could find that is relative to the creature types,
yep.
which is obviously something I love to do.
Yep.
And do a dive, like doing dives into the archives of Scryfall.
Very, very deep Scryfall searches. You're scrolling through the whole search. Yep.
Yep.
And actually, I'm going to check
Um,
real quick. You can go on. I'm
so
just going to pull this up while we.
so relative to so when comparing it to some of the work that I had done on a similar design space, um, oh, it's great, man. Like
Yeah,
these dives
yeah.
are I need to do it more, and I do it regularly.
I've done it.
Uh,
I've done it.
yeah. Uh, like one of the things. Okay, so let me ask you one question before I continue with this. Is this still in the phase of theory crafting and an initial list? Has this been drafted? If it's been drafted, how many times? And have you tuned the list from drafting? Or is this something that has been worked on in isolation, done and has been a lot more cerebral and theory crafting?
Probably has to be more cerebral overall, unless people have been playtesting it online,
Yeah,
presumably.
presumably, yeah. Definitely a rough draft in theory. Okay,
Okay,
that's
cool, cool.
that's what I assumed.
Yeah,
But I just wanted to know for sure
right.
because of my experience with a similar design space. Um, wanted me to ask that question, and what I mean is like I spent a lot of time on this a very similar idea. My power level was forced. I forced my power level a lot lower than yours. Um, and I had only one draft of it. Um, After all of my work, all my theory crafting, and I came to some. What I like about you, oh, God, I'm starting to get scatterbrained. What I it's I knew it was going to happen eventually. Uh, what I Yeah, there's only one copy. It's a Singleton cube, so there's
Yep,
only one
it is
copy of
Singleton.
each Zendikar Rising um, party card.
Yep.
Um, what I found about the design space was that the there is no real party payoff. Like, there are cards that support the tribes within the party, but the cards. I think Breaking Singleton is actually. Yeah, that was where I was actually going with this.
Yeah.
So Breaking Singleton is actually something I'm more interested in within this design space as we have access to these cards right now.
Right.
Because there's really no payoffs that are meaningful enough in the party or the tribal like cards in the card pool
Yeah.
that make you want to take these cards and try to exploit them over cards that are just
Just
good
good.
on rate
Right.
and are just good cards.
Yep.
Like when you're playing Drana Silencer in the same cube that you're playing Wolfear Avenger, somebody's gonna have a lot easier time winning games than somebody else. And that sucks because like you want it to be more balanced. You want these cards to do something interesting and powerful. And had a really hard time with the power level. And then when I finally wrestled down the list and drafted it, it was like very clear to me very quickly that I either had to go way up in power or way down in order to balance around the party mechanic. And then the party mechanic itself wasn't a reason to be in any specific deck.
Yep.
Like there are cards like Adeliz the Cinderwind that make people want to draft wizards specifically.
Yep.
But then there's a tension of am I wizards or am I like blue-red party?
Yeah.
And how do those things interact with each other?
Right.
And are they different draftable archetypes or different incentives that allow you to take different cards and build a different deck? And it ended up that like the cards that were just good just trumped all the party cards, and that annoyed the shit out of me.
Yep.
Because like I wanted Zareth Sand to be broken, and I wanted Zagreus to be amazing, and
Right.
like Linvala. But it was so hard. It was like it was hard in the way that I put it together to make them better than the average good card in the cube. Um,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
Rolf has a good point there. It seems that incidental, like you're a wizard's deck, you pick up a cleric and a warrior, and like once in a while you get the full payoff.
yeah.
One
Like
and like
parties.
my
Go ahead.
feeling without because I didn't look through the party cards before getting through this because I'm really good at prepping for streams apparently. Um, the like every time I think about party, all I think is this spell costs one less for each creature in your party. Like it feels like that's where they stopped. It feels like that's where they started and stopped designing around
Yeah,
party. You know what I mean? And I know there's other stuff you can do, but it really felt like that was the big thing was like, like you said, like Zagreus. It's like, well, this might be a 2 mana 4/4 as long as you've cast 4 other creatures.
right.
Oh yay.
And then it's like, okay, cool. Like I did it. I got the
Yeah.
I got the payoff.
Or it's turn
But
6 so you just play your 6 drop
it's like,
cuz
all right, cool. Like,
that's
yeah,
what it
I'll
is.
kill it with fucking murder. And it's like, all right, yeah, I guess you got me. And it's
Yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah.
and it just it made me like think about this cube. Like it made me think about this design space as interesting in a low power tribal vibe that I think and like you how do you pronounce the designer's alias?
I just say Rolf. I think I
Ro?
think I think he's okay with
Ro?
going by Daniel. He submitted that
I
name in the
Dude, I totally agree with you that we're gonna get so much more support for this in 2021.
right.
Like, I think that like the D&D stuff is gonna be a huge boon to this these like more party support, and I think it was very successful as a limited design thing, and like it does everything that I want to do. It plays to the board. It gives you incentives for it. Like changes the way you want to draft and build a deck.
It changes how you evaluate cards in
Here's
the
how you
draft.
evaluate cards,
Right.
which is
Right.
really cool.
Yep.
Um, but like it as of right now, it's not enough.
Yeah.
It for me, when I look at like what we're trying to do to like pulp to change the way that people want to draft decks.
Yep.
Um, Granted, like I said to you before, my approach to it was a lot lower power level than this. Like I was playing like yeah, you have like Rotag Bugcatcher. I was playing like the hero of Gomafada. Like I was like, ooh, like warrior, hard to block, like 2 mana 2/2 with subtle upside. Like I was really like not pushing the power level up enough.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so with that with that in mind, one thing that I would say based on the cards that you have right now in the list is that the cards that are good on their own are going to massively outplay the cards that are cool and fun and tribal and like want to be more tribal. Like Brazen Borrower and Cloud Conceer
Ugh.
are just really good cards, and like Rankle, like these cards that are just good on rate and do something powerful. Um,
Siphoner.
yeah,
Null
Unseen
Priest.
Siphoner, Luminarch Aspirant.
You even get your Cutthroat.
Which wait, oh, the
Zulaport. Like you can
Zulaport.
you can still do your kind of traditional.
Yeah, man.
You know.
So like I think you're on the right. Like I think the path you have laid out is good because like you're reaching higher than I did. I was trying to replicate limited like a little too much, I think. But I think you can find a balance of like cutting the cards that like cutting down on the power band of like the really good creatures and making it so that when you do get to get a payoff in a tribe, that it is meaningful and it is something that you want to play. There was something that I don't know. I'm sure that Roth, that you've watched the Morrow 20 years 20 lessons video. But talks about one of the things he says was make the thing that is the most fun also the best thing to be doing.
Right.
So like if tribal is is what we want to be the most fun thing, it also has to be better than anything else.
Yep.
Um like so that because you don't want somebody to sit down and just like ignore it and just play removal and good cards on rate and just like say like, oh, I don't care about the tribal. I'm just gonna take good cards. Like you don't want that kind of that you want to like disincentivize somebody from doing that. So you have to manipulate the power level. You have to work the power level down so that those cards are the thing that you want to be doing. I hope I'm not like ranting too much about this.
No, I think well, and like
I had a long relationship with trying to build a cube like this.
no, I'm glad it's given an opportunity to talk about it because I know we had talked about it a bit, and that's why I kind of want to let you take the lead on this one especially. And I think that's a good point. And I think one of the other issues I know Dan just said it in chat is that even trying to then give some tribal matter stuff like, you know, making wizards matter takes away from the party aspect, right? And that's like a tension that I think is going to be really hard to deal with in a cube like this until hopefully, again, we get better party payoffs. Like asking to have 4 specific separate creatures on the board, or even 2 if you're like doing a cost 1 less thing, is just such a big ask in any format. I mean, like,
it only is if the cards themselves don't need like it's not just like a mana discount. It's like
right.
It's a card's worth of value, right?
Right.
Because then you're like, oh shit, like I get another card's worth of value if I have more party on the board. But
Sure, yes.
Like, oh, like I have 4 different creatures types on the board. My Malakir Blood Priest drains for 4 now.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh cool, like you did the thing and then you just drained your opponent for 4 and you have a 2/1 on the board. Like that's not exciting enough to me to take over a card like Glint-Sleeve Siphoner, where it's just like a hard to block creature that gives me card advantage if I can keep on tapping with it.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
So
Siphoner's insane. Like
Siphoner is like a good enough 2-drop, right?
Yep.
So like what I would if Ruff is down to like shrink the size of the cube, I think is a good move because like you can have more control over all of the cards that you're playing with, and you'll know how good or bad each card is interacting with the environment, and then cut down the power outliers. I think that's a great start, and I would also suggest breaking Singleton for something like this, so that you can really push the actual party cards themselves. And I don't know if that's something that they're willing to do.
Right.
But yeah, like doing just a tribal cube with party stuff, I think is like where this design space exists best.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and like, so it's going to be, so the party part is going to be more incidental. It's a tribal cube where once in a while or at some interval you get party payoffs, right?
Yeah.
Is that kind of where you're thinking that this could head?
Yeah, like that. I think that's like where it's going to find its best, like its most interesting space.
And something like spoils as an example, like that's pretty easy to make. Like if you cast that for 4, I think you feel pretty good, right? And like that's not a payoff in the sense of like I assembled my party, I win the game, but like you just feel good that you curved your like 2-drop into your 3-drop, and that happened to be 2 different classes. And then bam, spoils for 4 mana, and you're like,
right.
And being ahead 3 cards is actually pretty big.
But then I'll counterpoint you a little bit, which is like, all right, I played 2 creatures so that I could cast Concentrate and gain 3 life.
Yeah. Yep.
In 2 colors, like Concentrate's like a fine card, but like
right.
it's not like awesome,
But
you know?
I think what's nice, one of the things that resonated for me about this cube was by saying that every single creature was going to be party relevant. Like, it's actually not that hard to just drop. Like, hopefully you're playing two creatures that you wanted to play anyway, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like,
That,
your deck hopefully just has good creatures in it that are, you know, um, you dropped your brazen borrower, uh, after, I don't know what's a good example. Like, initiate into brazen borrower wouldn't be the worst start, or aspirant actually.
yeah, aspirant's
Like,
nuts.
yeah, like
Yeah,
play that followed by literally anything that's not a cleric, and then you're actually really happy to draw three there because
sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
you're
but
pressed.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Like, and that goes back to the tension that I mentioned, which is like all the payoffs felt like, as you said, oh, I played two creatures just so I could cast concentrate in two colors. Like
Yeah,
that's what they all feel like to me, is like just the what's the term, the I can't remember the term, but it's not worth the grind to get what you get.
the juice isn't worth the
Juice isn't worth
squeeze.
squeeze. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Not to say, and like this is coming from somebody that like worked really hard on like
Oh
a
yeah.
very clever idea,
Yep.
and I'm so disappointed to like
Yep.
with the result of it because I wanted this to be really fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could probably try to like rebuild it in a non-singleton environment and see how that goes, and keep the power level down. Um, and like I've said before, and I think it's important to reiterate, like we're getting Changeling in Kaldheim. We're probably gonna get D&D class and party stuff.
I don't know how you don't.
Here.
I don't know how
Like
they print that set and not have party be
yeah,
a thing.
it's literally like the most party set ever. And like so I'm really excited to see how this gets revisited towards the end of the year.
Yep.
And I don't want this to be so I don't want this to be something that that you like. Yeah, I think that Changeling is a big opportunity for WotC to expand upon, and I really hope they do it because there's
Yep.
just not enough like good Changeling stuff.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, Green got the shit end of the stick
Yep. Yep.
with his end of cards. Like, oh, veteran adventurer, cool. Like, he played a 5 mana 5/5 vigilance.
Well, and even in their design article, they were like, "Yeah, we had 5 colors and 4 party classes, but we figured that's cool. So here's how we did it. Fuck you, Green." Uh, oh, that's an interesting design perspective to take. They were like, "Yeah, we made this like really nice rotation where everyone got a primary, a secondary, a tertiary, and then Green got fucked in the ass.
We got
Nothing.
Tajuru Paragon.
We.
I know.
Yeah, that was
I
unfortunate.
actually like just to like kind of have a gripe about Party a little bit too is that I wish that like a card like Tajuru Paragon where it is also all the party types. I wish that that meant that it counted as all the party types and not just one. Like
Meaning, like
I don't think
it was a party in and of itself.
yeah, like I don't think that would have pushed it too far.
Yeah,
Um,
I think, I
but maybe
think,
we'll
I
see
think when
later.
you're 6 drop, it, if your 6 drop doesn't assemble party for you by itself, like, uh, you know, party in a bottle.
Party in a bottle, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Jesus, even two of them, like, let it be a multi-class, let it be a cleric rogue, and just at least get you halfway
Exactly.
there. Because the other thing
Yeah.
is, like, if it counts as two, that's still, again, something like a lot of these costless cards are good enough if you can take two off, because they weren't built to be necessarily a four discount, you know. Like, I don't think they designed Spoils of Adventure with the intention that you're going to cast it for two a lot of the time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, like, being able to drop a 4 or 5 mana creature and have this just immediately drop by two, I think is probably fine.
Yeah, we call these cards in the biz chaff. Um, it like as a suggested direction I would take this in is to push tribal more, just like raw tribal stuff.
Right.
Um, I I I think that could be like a good place to grow each of the party creature types separately and make something that like you know is a true wizards thing or a warrior thing and like see how that works.
Wizards in particular has a number of cards that I like. Wizard Tribal feels like the easiest one to push out of all
So
of
easy.
them.
Fuck wizards,
Yeah.
and spells. What's more like
Right.
you know what name a better combo. Oh
All
wait,
all the
you
new
know.
stuff. All the new stuff. Yeah.
And also like there's stuff like what is that card that's it's and I'm no doesn't party become a trap then at that point. Um it becomes it becomes something where like you're getting a little bit of value by splicing the stuff together. And
Right.
changelings should ideally be that wedge that helps connect everything together. Yeah, it does become more on rails.
Yep.
I have never designed a tribal cube. I don't know much about speaking to that design space,
Yeah. No, I
which
think you're
is
right that
why
the only way to make this work, and again, I think we have to acknowledge that there's a bunch of severe limitations on this idea, and they're not limitations on from us. They're imposed on us by the card pool that we have to select from. You're just not gonna party is not gonna be super high value. It's gonna give you some incidental value, and hopefully it's fun when you get to assemble it. Right? Hopefully there's some stories in that. Here's a question for both of you, Derek and Rolf, because you've both spent a lot of time digging into these cards. What's the party card, not a tribal card, a party card that I absolutely 100% most want to open in my first pack? What's the one card I want to get a hold of in here? What's the best one? Or the most exciting one, or both, whichever way.
like that specifically references party.
Yeah, like out of
Right.
the cards that actually have something to do with actual party mechanic.
Mm.
And anyone in chat can answer too, but especially the two of you have really dug into this. What? Because
Probably the most
if I'm honest, I
exciting
didn't look
card would
very
be
closely.
Tazri, Beacon of Unity,
Okay.
the mythic rare, because it allows you to like look for more dudes
Right.
from your deck
Right.
Um, I don't know if Ralph
That's fair.
has a different idea about that.
Well, and Dan, whose opinion I occasionally trust as well, said Linvala, which I think is a fair answer as well.
Yeah.
Ralph agrees with
Well, isn't
Tazri.
Limbala just like Liev's Sky Knight? That like you need the full party on the board to like uh to just detain a creature.
Yeah.
Like it's really good on raid. It's a 3-mana 3/3 flyer. Like that's awesome.
So that's just the best card that
Uh,
happens to mention.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Architect of
Funch.
Iona is actually kind of cool too
So
because it
Funch,
jumps.
yeah, Funch actually brought up exactly what I was thinking, because this was so again, I run a creature only cube. I guess I'm contractually obligated with myself to say that every time I stream. But my main cube is all creatures. So when I looked at party, there was a almost no interest in any of them. This was one of, I think, two, or maybe it's the only one that I actually ended up deciding I was going to test, and I haven't tested it because fucking coronavirus. But this was the one that when I looked at it, I went, oh, this actually does what I think party ought to do more of, which is reward you for something you already did. Meaning, first of all, this is a 1-mana 1/2 on the floor, and I think that's actually in some decks. I mean, that's a Thraben Inspector, obviously without the card draw, but when you play another type on turn 2 and this swings for 2, all of a sudden you're aggressive. And I think the biggest issue for me with Party is that most of them are trying to reward you for already assembling the party, where this one is rewarding you for starting with your payoff. It's not the right word, but with your party card, and then trying to build from there. Does that make sense? Like, I think most of the other ones put the cart before the horse. Unintentionally, it makes sense, right? Assemble your party, get your spoils of adventure. Sure, I get it. But, like, and I'm literally spitballing here, a 2-mana enchantment that says every turn for the number of party members you have, you gain that much life, or something, crazy like that. Or if you have full party, you get, makes way more sense to me than, because, like, if I'm trying to get my party up so that I can cast my spell and you're just playing removal, like, I'm just pissing my resources away.
Yeah.
And again, like, you might stumble on this, but it comes down as a 1-mana 1/2, and then maybe it's a turn or two, but the next time you play a party that's not a cleric, or a tribal that's not a cleric, this thing is banging in for 2. So, like, this is the one card that I think I looked at and thought, oh, this feels like Party.
It feels a little pushed. It just feels pushed power level wise, right?
Well, but it also just feels functionally, like, it feels functionally, I mean, yes, obviously, like, if on turn 3 you're swinging for 3, that's, like, super relevant. And, like, Funch, called it a wild Nakatl. Yep, kind of like that. But Nakatl wasn't that push either. Like, it wasn't out of control, Nakatl's a bad cube card, according to a lot of people. Or at least a medium one. So, like, I'm high on cards that work this way, where as you build it, so Goyf style cards, right? Stuff that, Nakatl was banned in Modern. Fair enough.
It was banned. It was very much banned in Modern.
Okay, fair enough. Well, still, this is Cube, so fuck it. This is the kind of stuff that I want to be doing. And again, like, just off my cube, like, I didn't go looking for more of anything. I just happened to be running a number of these because there's just a lot of creatures, and like, I don't remember. I think Warrior was my least represented. 23 of those. 31 clerics. Again, I didn't add anything for the sake of party. I know there's a lot of wizards. Yeah. So, like, again, if that ends up being a 1-mana 3/2 on average, like, I'm pretty happy. So.
Absolutely.
So I'm kind of hoping that when they get to that D&D set that they look at stuff like this and think of it as something that's going to build as you build your board state, not require a bunch of setup and then maybe just be awful.
Yeah. And, like, there has I think the cards that scale with party are much better than cards that are binary with party.
Yep, for sure.
Like, you're either on or off, and that like, Linvala is one of those cards that, like, I wish it just did something more that scaled more. But
yep.
I guess at the end of the day, you're just getting an amazing rate on a creature. So
yeah, 3-mana 3/3 flyers, pretty fine.
Yeah.
So something to throw out there, I'm sure a lot of people in chat saw it, but D. White mentioned the possibility of errating some ally cards so that they play with party instead of ally, as an example. And I generally avoid. I'm not against it. I generally avoid too much, like, on-card errata, more just because it's super hard to, like. At that point, I'd rather just design my own card. Like, there's places you can do that on the interwebs. But that being said, custom cards or errata cards might be another. Like, you could design 10 custom cards for this cube, and all of a sudden, whoa,
True. It's very true.
And that might be too big an ask, or that might be something that people are generally against. Like some people fundamentally just don't want to do that kind of thing, um, but some people love that idea. So I think that's something to consider as well. Is you might just speaking especially to Rolf here, just because you've got the list together. A handful of pushed scaling party payoffs might be a great way to make this kind of function for now, until you can get better ones from Wizards. Sorry for the timing, Pab, but glad to have you here. Yeah. Yes, we did go over the Fundies Cube, and we had a good time.
We did, yeah.
It was fun. So, but yeah, I'll make sure the VOD's up by tomorrow, Pab, and I'll ping you when it's up in Discord. Thank you for sending it in. It was fun, but
yeah, it was fun.
Okay,
I agree entirely. What? I mean, you can do whatever you want. That's a big change to a Magic environment, though.
I mean, I've seen a fair number of cubes that just cut a color. It's usually white or blue.
It is usually one of those. Yes.
But fill it with elementals.
Okay.
Dan's freaking out. Oh boy. Yeah, so I think I mean this definitely faces a lot of challenges. I think it's a very worthy project for sure. And like I said, I was excited to kind of follow up on that since we had talked about Derek, and see where we could get. But it definitely has some very oh wow, thank you, D-White, very much. Thank you. Very exciting. Everyone just got some presents.
We got some subs. Thrill Rider. Woo! Awesome, man.
Very good, very good. Thank you so much for the support, D-White. You've done nothing but good for this channel. Mostly nothing.
Yeah, so all right, sorry.
No.
Finish your thought.
Yeah, no, I just that was good timing. Thank you very much. I'll drop one of those as well. Yeah, so this, I think this is a worthy project. I think starting it now makes sense because it gives you some time to start seeing where the holes are and seeing where the discrepancies and challenges are. And then for me, I think going forward, if someone handed me this cube and said, I'm not doing this anymore, it's the worst, you do it, then I think my step one would be, I personally would have no problem designing a handful of custom cards, and they might be over pushed, but I think that's fine in this kind of thing. Like this is a novelty cube. This is not going to be the centerpiece of CubeCon, where it needs to be balanced and fair and real, I guess. I think just throwing a couple fun, exciting, splashy payoffs in that people will be excited to try and draft around is fine. And then I think you try to kind of hobble along until we see where the D&D set lands, because that's either going to make this like absolutely sing, or it's going to be like, well, party sucks. And then, like it might be a mechanic that can't be salvaged. I don't know. I don't know enough to say either way, but it's a very challenging mechanic.
It is, but
to get right.
But it's inspired people to try to work around it, which is, it's a good sign for the mechanic. I just want to see it play out. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. My advice, I said it before. My suggestion would be, whatever you want to do to manipulate the environment to make the tribal thing and the party thing the most fun and most powerful thing you can do.
Right.
Like that would be, Yeah, I think breaking singleton
Yes.
is a
Yeah.
really interesting
Yep.
way
Yep.
to explore the space because it'll restrict you even further into and like push your drafters to make use of these cards.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
it can be a way to
Like how
explore
many Malakir Blood Priests would make you go, okay, this is my plan?
four, dude.
There you go.
Three or four.
There you
Just
go.
you know,
Right. Because
that
when
would be
you're
sick.
doming for 3 or 4 over and over,
Yep.
right?
And blinking them or recurring them or doing some way
Copy
to
them.
re-trigger it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cloning them or what have you. Yep. 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 Yep.
Yep.
Um, and also, I'm sure you know it, Rolf, but as a reminder slash an idea for anyone who might be watching or listening to this at some point that could use it. Lots of people use variant rules for drafting duplicates. So something like Malakir Blood Priest, because density is a big issue. Maybe when you draft it, you get 4. I don't, or 2, I know someone. I'm not going to remember which now because I've looked at a lot of cubes recently. 90 plus now. There is one cube that someone sent to me that's on my list that you can draft a placeholder. They call it a coin, but it's a placeholder, and you can trade that coin in for a card out of a small pool of like I think it's like 30 or 50 cards. It's a very small pool of like build around cards, and the idea is you don't have to draft a specific build around. You can draft this coin and then go grab the thing that you want. Oh yeah, that's right. Thank you, Ambrose. Very good. Yeah, Rof had already done this. Dark Supplicant automatically gives you Sign of Darkness as an example, or Legion Angel, or Growth Chamber Guardian. You'd get an extra copy. So perfect examples of ways that you can make that non-singleton use some variant rules to make it a little bit more efficient to draft,
Yeah.
or a little bit more appealing. You know, you open up a Malakir Blood Priest early, and you're like, well, I could get all 4 of those, and then just try to make that my thing, right?
Yeah. And yeah, and this is the kind of design space where you can push outside the limitations of singleton expectations of cube.
Yep.
And have a lot of fun with it. Yeah, I mean, entertain it. Make multiple copies of the cube.
Yeah.
Make a non-singleton version. Make a just a regular like singleton. Cut down the power. Cut the size down.
Yeah.
Like make multiple versions of it and draft multiple versions and see how it plays differently and see which
Yeah.
one works better.
Keep this because this is great work, and this is a repository of like a lot of good cards, and
Yes.
then go clone it, and apply one crazy thing at a time. Totally agree with that. Excellent advice. Yeah, Cobra does let us explore so well. Scryfall and Cube Cobra. It's the only 2 sites in the world I need that I'm willing to mention on stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But,
I've been too distracted to check. I don't think we have a symmetrical land base, right? We've got a Pain land down in Boros as well. Yeah. That's good. Don't worry too much about the spreadsheet, right?
no, don't worry about the spreadsheet.
Yep. I don't feel particularly strongly that we need to draft this one unless you disagree or Rof is dying for it. He didn't mention it in the submission, so.
No, I think talking conceptually about the cube and the big picture stuff is more important at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to just do that with them.
Yeah. No, that said, I have a shit ton of cubes to go over, so I'm probably going to be doing these little review streams for a while. So Rolf, if you make some major changes and you want to do like a follow up, I think a lot of cubes people have like made little changes and they've talked in the Discord, or they've made big changes and they've talked in the Discord, which is super cool because like, what's better than doing this and trying to give people your thoughts and advice or again, ask questions that, inspire people to think differently than to see them actually take those things and apply them and try them and let you know how it goes. So Rolf, please keep us updated on this. via the Discord or wherever, and we'll revisit, or at a minimum, like when there's a couple extra minutes at the end of a stream, I'll happily, bring up a new version of this if you have a wild idea, that you try out. Would love to. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have that command set up yet, but I can send some private message invites later for anyone who's interested. Just DM me here or on Twitter, and I can do that. I just haven't set up the custom command for it because then I have to have an unexpiring Discord link, and I've been botted in here before. So, anyway,
I can invite Funch to Discord.
Yeah. Anyone in there should be able to do that. But again, if anyone watching this now or watching the VOD later needs an invite, just DM me because I can happily add people in. Very cool. So for Pab and Rofeletan, thank you both very much for sending these cubes in. They were really cool, and we were really excited to talk about them. So obviously, hopefully what we went over helps, and we've raised some thoughts and questions that'll help you move forward and think on this very cool projects. Derek, as always, a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. We'll, like I said, I have a lot of cubes to get through, so I'm confident this will not be the last time we do this, if you're willing to continue. But it was a lot of fun. And yeah, do you have anything specific going on right now that you want to promote or link or anything like that? Anything you want to
sure.
pump right now?
Yeah, I have enjoyed doing this with you. I'm looking forward to doing it again.
Awesome.
So don't hesitate to reach out to me whenever.
Oh yeah.
I'll probably end up reaching out to you too about it. So
yeah,
please.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, I'm working on a couple articles for Hipsters right now. I have this one that I'm writing about the I guess I can go top down and say that the working title is A Constructive Approach to Archetype Design.
Nice.
And it's going to be a piece about approaching cube archetype design from a perspective of constructed magic as opposed to limited magic, which is something that I have learned a lot about over the last year, thanks to people like Sir Funchalot, who I've been talking to a lot about cube this past year. It's just a different way of looking at cube design as it stems from constructed level heuristics and not limited or otherwise. So that could be fun. That'll be fun when that comes out. I'm interested to hear what people
Awesome. Yeah.
feel about that.
Yep.
And I do stream very irregularly, so don't ask me for any kind of schedule. I'm a working man.
Yeah.
So I do try to stream cubes when they're on Magic Online. As
Yeah.
I said, I might have said it on stream, but my computer isn't set up to stream Arena efficiently yet. So I guess at some point that'll change. But right now, that's kind of what I have going on.
That's right. The Arena cube is cool, but the MTGO Spotlight cubes are always like, I mean, at worst they're good, and usually they're delightful. So I think that's where it's at anyway. Personally, like I've just had bananas fun with literally all of those that have come out, even the ones that have gone terribly for me. So awesome. Well, yeah, like I said, we're in the Discord, and we'll do you, when you drop your articles, do you usually tweet those out? I think you do, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll amplify those, and looking forward to seeing that one when it drops.
It's literally the only time I ever post on Reddit is just to post my links to my articles.
Yeah, I mean, big same. Like that's where I dropped the invite for this big review panel project, and that got a lot of traction. So that cool. And when I drop a actual YouTube video, usually. Yeah, thank you everyone for tuned in. It was a great time, and we always love having an active chat. It makes it exciting, and hopefully, even if your cube wasn't up today, this was helpful and thought provoking for you. Or at least a good exercise in the old cube design muscles. And I will be back, let's say Thursday. I'm sure be back Tuesday. And then I know someone on Twitter is trying to line up a cube draft on the weekend, but I don't know if there's a day and time yet. So if that happens and I can make it, I will probably stream that draft and gameplay as well. So there might be a little bonus stream over the weekend of me going
Very
0-3 in their cube, because that's what I do.
nice.
Or, who knows? Maybe it's 4 rounds. Maybe I'll go 0-4 for once. All right. We're going to call it there. Thanks so much. Everyone stay safe and healthy, and we will see you very soon.